DreAllDay.com.
What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com, BallOverseas.com, the Overseas Basketball Blueprint. Topic is how to get prepared for an exposure camp. Now, for the ball players who are not coming out of a D1 school or a high-level successful D2, you're coming out of a D3, NAIA, JUCO, no college at all, and you want to play overseas, I made it clear, I've said this enough times, that people should get it. You need to go somewhere to get seen. People have to know that you exist. One of the best places to do that is at an exposure camp. Now, a lot of players say they want to go to the G League tryouts because the G League tryouts are local, so you don't have to travel that much. They're cheap. The tryouts like $100, $150 is the closest one, is the cheapest one, and there's a reason why it's close and cheap. There's a reason why social media is free, quote unquote free, because they're taking all your data and they're basically selling your life to companies for advertising dollars. So things that come cheap usually have some kind of hook in them. They got to remember the first rule of economics, and no such thing as a free lunch. So see my video about G League tryouts, which is probably somewhere in the recommended videos if you're watching this one, but just look up Dre Baldwin G League. I got several videos about G League tryouts where I keep it real with y'all about whether it's actually worth it or it's not. And short answer is not. So watch the videos so you can find out. You'd rather go to an exposure camp. What an exposure camp is an independently organized event where players like you pay money to go to such an event, and the reason you pay is because you and a bunch of other players all show up there and y'all all get to show your game to an audience of decision makers, coaches, agents, scouts, managers, team owners who can help you get a job overseas. So now that you understand what an exposure camp is, and some of you already do, here's how you prepare for an exposure camp. First thing you must do, and this is a mistake that I made before, is give yourself rest. Rest at least the same number of days that you're going to be at the camp. So if you're going to an exposure camp that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you need to, and you're traveling on Thursday, that means you're going to fly on Thursday, and the camp is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's 4 days. The travel day is not a rest day. Let me say that again. A travel day is not a rest day. If you got to get on a plane and you're flying for, especially changing time zones and stuff like that, that's not a rest day. So Thursday counts as a day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days. You need to rest for 4 days. That means you should not be working out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you get on the plane Thursday, you get on the court Friday. Now you might say, well, Dre, damn, that's like a whole week where I haven't worked on my game, where I lose my conditioning, where I lose my sharpness, where I not be on point. If you've been working out all the time up until then, you'll be good. So let me tell you what I did. If I ever went to an exposure camp, I made sure I was training and working on my game for at least 90 days consistently before I went to that exposure camp. I don't mean 90 days straight. I might take a Sunday off, maybe take a Saturday off, something like that. But I was consistent in my schedule, whether that was going to the gym, then weights in the afternoon, gym in the morning, weights in the afternoon, conditioning a couple times a week, or working with a trainer or playing in games, whatever it was. I had my system, I had my schedule. I was sticking to that schedule religiously for 90 days before the exposure camp. Therefore, I could afford to take 3-4 days off, a week off before that exposure camp based on how long the camp was, because my game was already on point. 90 days of work does not get undone in 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been working on your game for 90 days and you've been on a specific schedule and you take 3-4 days off to get ready, that's going to make your game even sharper when you get on that court, because you'll be completely rested. You won't have any fatigue build up. Your feet won't be hurting, your legs won't be sore, your muscles ain't going to be tight from lifting weights or none of that. You'll be good and ready to go. If you do anything during those days that you take off, listen, take a walk. Don't do any kind of running or ride, no impact activity. Take a walk, maybe get in a pool, go swimming, do yoga, stretch, foam roll. If you're going to do something, do that. Yoga, stretch, foam roll, so that your muscles are loose and limber. Drink a whole lot of water so you can flush out, get that lactic acid flushed out. I mean, I don't know if water itself is going to flush that out. Maybe some rest. Foam rolling will help you do that. Stretching will help you do that. So just let your body relax and let it get into optimal shape. It needs rest. You cannot force your way into being in peak shape. You got to give yourself some rest at the same time you give yourself training. Your muscles grow, not when you're in the gym lifting weights, but when you're not in the gym actually resting. That's when the muscles grow and repair. So the most important thing, this is the biggest thing, give yourself a certain amount of rest. Actually, I'll say something that's bigger than that for players who are uninitiated, because the first point was for players who are like me. You work out religiously and you're always in the gym, always doing your thing. Now, I'm assuming, I made that the first point because I'm assuming if you're looking to go to an exposure camp, you already got that part covered, that you're serious about your game, you've been working on your game, doing the stuff that you need to do. So let me give the remedial point for those who might notice. might not know this rather. All right, make sure that your game is fucking on point. All right, don't be signed up for an exposure camp. You're not in game shape. All right, if you don't know what game shape is, you're not in game shape. If you don't know what game shape is, you are not in game shape. So do not show up to an exposure camp not being in game shape. Do not show up to an exposure camp if you're under 6'5" and you can't dribble. Do not show up to an exposure camp if you're a shooting guard and you can't shoot. Or if you're a big guy and you can't grab rebounds, or you don't know anything about protecting the paint. If you don't have any definable, discernible skills, all right, have some discernible skill. What is it that you do that will probably be better than most of the people on the court? If you can't answer, you should not be going to an exposure camp. You should not be investing in an exposure camp. You should not be taking up space on the court at an exposure camp because you can't fucking play. So if you don't know what discernible skill you have to separate you from whoever else might show up, you shouldn't be going. All right, know what your discernible skills are. If you don't have any, work on your game for another year and go to an exposure camp next summer. All right, so make sure you actually got some skills. So those are 1A and 1B. Have some game. Make sure you give yourself some rest. Third thing you do to get ready for an exposure camp is just get your mind in the right place. Mind in the right place meaning exposure camp is basically your showcase. All right, it's where you can take, you've been playing ball since you were 6 years old, now you're 22. That's 16 years, or you went to college for 4 years. Maybe you didn't even play in college. Maybe you didn't go to college. You get a chance to take a 4-year college experience or 16 years of life working on your game and condense that down into 72 hours, where your performance just over that 72 hours can erase, make up for, or bolster whatever you did in 4 years of college, 4 years of high school, all the years that you've been hooping with a great performance there. I went to a D3 school where I had walked on. I didn't have any game film when I got out of college. I barely played in high school. I was only on the team 1 year, sat on the bench the 1 year I was on the team. But I went to an exposure camp, played, it was a 2-day camp. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. I killed it at that exposure camp, got me a great scouting report, and got the game footage. Nothing that I did in college or high school even mattered once I started shopping around that scouting report and that video, because that superseded everything that I had done before. So I basically made up for 8 years of lack of scholastic basketball achievement in 2 days. You could do the exact same thing, but you got to be mentally prepared for that. One way to get mentally prepared for it, first of all, is you have to have done the work leading up to the exposure camp. So it's not about just watch some hype up, motivational video on YouTube, and then all of a sudden you're just going to get on the court and do everything, just ball out just because. I know a lot of players who thought it was going to go that way. It didn't go that way. If you put in the work up to that point, you take your rest, you show up to that gym ready to go mentally, that's how you do it. So make sure you've done the work up to that point. This is not a shortcut. All right, and when it comes to getting yourself mentally in that space, the confidence is the most important thing. What does confidence come from? Confidence comes from discipline, ladies and gentlemen. The more discipline you have had in working on your game and doing what you need to do to get ready, the more confident you have afforded yourself to be when you get on that court, because you know you have done the work. All right, so this is not a hack for confidence, okay? There's no such thing as a hack for confidence. You get confidence from actually doing something. If you're disciplined and you've been doing the work all these years and all this time leading up to the camp, when you get there, you got a right to be confident. You know you got something to believe in. So I got plenty of videos on confidence. You can look those up. They're here on this platform, on YouTube. I got master classes on confidence. Just look them up on YouTube. I got a book on confidence called The Super You. I did a chapter on confidence in my book called Work on Your Game. So make sure you get your mind in the right place. So I'm gonna stop at those 3 things. Make sure you got game, give yourself rest, get yourself mentally in the right space, and just be ready to go. So when you get there, you are physically rested, you are mentally rested, you can lock in, get into your mental zone. How do you know what your mental zone is? That is work you should have been doing 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago. Know what your mental zone is through the work that you have done on the court up to this point before you get to the exposure camp. If you need help with that, then I would suggest you read my book called Work on Your Game. You can get that at workonyourgamebook.com. All that being said, if you do not yet have your free copy of this book, The Overseas Basketball Blueprint, I made it free so that you don't even have to make a decision about whether to get it or not. This is the blueprint, the guidebook you need to play professional basketball overseas if you're serious about playing overseas. If you don't have an agent, you ain't been to a camp, you don't have any game footage, nobody's scouting you, this book will tell you how you can make it happen anyway, because that's who I was, and I was able to make it happen coming out of walking on at a D3. Go to balloverseas.com. The book is paid for. All you do is cover a small shipping charge. balloverseas.com. Work on your game. Dre all